5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, yeah, that volume's good. All right, perfect. We're good to go. Let me send a little message on the chat so you can see that, Colleen.
Yep, give me just a second. It is going.
I saw it, if that matters.
Okay. Yep, I can see it.
All right, excellent. So we are good to
We're going to go back to recording.
All right, yeah, we'll get started here in about 20 seconds.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, and we're streaming live on Facebook, so now's the opportunity for you to say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Facebook.
Hi, guys.
So I'm joined today
This
by
is fun.
Diana V and Sejal. No way, I'm going to look. Lakhani. And we
Got
are.
it.
What is Bot your last name as well, or you have a hyphen?
Yeah, it's Lakhani Bot. It's a hyphen.
Lakhani Bot. Okay.
I try to make it as long as possible.
Of course, why not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like my email address is colleenb@leadupforwomen.com. And people are like, could you make that any shorter? I'm like, I don't know how to really make that any shorter. So we could do Lead Up, but then there's another company out there that has Lead Up. So it doesn't make any sense.
Can you just do LUW?
I could do LUFW, but no one would ever know what that stood for. They'd be like, La Fou. What? Yeah. So they're going to get started here in a second, and I'm going to attempt Facebook to listen in through my phone here. And so if I see any comments come through, we'll be sure to answer those for you. And then we'll be leaving their information out there as well. So I can't quite hear your feed yet, Monk. So if you want to throw that.
Yep, coming in right now.
Okay, cool.
Welcome to Lead Up for Women. Speak up to lead up with Colleen Biggs. Are you ready to lead without permission and take the steps needed to live your best life? Whether you want to start the business of your dreams or celebrate your present and future accomplishments, you're definitely in the right place. Now, here is your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hey there, listeners, and welcome to the show. You are listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up, and I'm your host, Colleen Biggs, and I am joined today by the beautiful Diana V. Diana, say hi to our listeners.
Hello, how's it going?
Great, and I'm also joined today by Sejal, oh my gosh, Lakhani Bhatt, right?
That's it. You got it.
Okay, woohoo!
Done.
So,
Hi, guys.
we have some beautiful women here today to share their stories. And if any of you looked at the title of our show today, it's really talking about, were you born without freedoms? Like, what were your circumstances that might not have been ideal in your life that you've actually turned into phenomenal opportunities, which is what we're going to talk about today. And the heaven on earth moved and mountains shifted. And for some reason, both of these beautiful ladies came in on the same show that have had some pretty big hurdles in their life. And so today we're going to be talking about how they've been able to build companies, how they've been able to overcome those hurdles with some similar bad circumstances in their lives. So thank you, ladies, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
It's so great to have you guys here. I also wanted to get caught up really quick with Lead Up for Women. And I wanted to remind everybody out there, if you have not subscribed yet to our newsletters, we pump out serious information on a regular basis. So every Thursday, you're going to get a Thrive Thursday newsletter. We just had our Teaching Tuesday webinar that you could have RSVP'd for very quickly through your, email that you would have gotten from us. We also do Facebook events. So two things. I want you to run out there, not run, not walk, not jog, not skip, not anything. Just use your little fingers, make them move a little around on your phone. And I want you to go out there and sign up for our newsletter on leadupforwomen.com. And I also want you to go to our Facebook page, Lead Up for Women. This is where we pump out the most information. And I'm getting really good with Instagram now. I know, right? So yes, score. And so I do a lot of Instagram stories. We pump a lot of information out on Instagram. Our bio has several links in it for every event that we're doing. So make sure you jump out there and you get signed up for that, because it's really important to stay connected with what we're doing, because the radio show is just one piece. of how we get some of that communication out. Like we're having our next webinar is going to be on January 14th, which is always the second Tuesday. So the second Tuesday of the month is when we have our Teaching Tuesday webinars. And by the way, our members teach those. So as a member, one of the perks is you get to teach a Teaching Tuesday webinar. And Diana, you're teaching one coming up here soon, aren't you?
Which one?
Which one? I'm pretty sure I put you in February or March. And so it's one of those dates that we had decided. So I will have to go look at those dates. But the beautiful part about the members teaching is, you know, we talk a lot about how unique we are as females and women. And even if Diana and I had the exact same job or owned the exact same business, we would never do it exactly the same. Why? Because I'm not Diana. Diana's not Colleen, and we do things the only way that we know how, which is the gifts that we've been given and how we lean into that. So I say that because I think it's important for us to remember that we are doing things exactly the way we need to when we're living in our purpose, and we're doing it the unique way that we need to do it. And if you're not leaning into your purpose, what's happening is you're leaving this blank space on earth that needed your unique skills and purpose for people to partake in. So just remember that. I don't want it to weigh heavy on you, but I want you to think about that. If you're not living into your purpose and doing what you know it is that you're here to do and inviting the universe in to help you with that. And sometimes, as in Sejal's life, abruptly things get shifted, which you'll hear her story in a little bit. And that is, you know, at the time it can feel like a curse and a blessing at the same time. But I can say that, you know, everything happens exactly the way it needs to for a specific reason. And that doesn't mean we always need to understand why. We just need to know that it's happening for a purpose, a greater purpose beyond what we can imagine. And so again, ladies, thank you for being here. I want to remind everyone who hasn't already, go out to the website and check out our events. We have some amazing sanctuary events coming up for women to be able to pour into their cups, to be able to lead, to be able to connect with other women and grow your business. There's so much more that you're going to be able to do. These are one of a kind, elite, all-inclusive, mansion, luxurious retreats for women. So we deserve it because we're queens. So I got to say about that. But let's go ahead and jump in with Diana. And Diana, what I love about you is you're self-taught. So I remember you saying that you had to teach yourself at the age of 12 to even speak English. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not because I have a deficiency, it's because I'm from a different country. I just wanted to throw that out there because people might look at me and be like, wow, you come a long way.
We're sorry that your parents didn't teach you English.
I know.
No, so tell us your story. Like, why are you so freaking awesome today? What were the paths, and you can start at whatever age you would like. What were the paths and things that happened in your life that really started, you know, navigating you and course correcting you to get to where you are today?
Wow. So course correction is a great word to use.
Yeah.
And just to kind of build up on what you said, how, you know, you just kind of have to go out there and do it. And then you see it as, you know, you ask yourself, why am I being cursed? Why is this happening to me? There's absolutely, how can absolutely any good come out of this situation? Yeah. And then years later, and it literally took me years to realize that, you know, growing up in a country that just seceded from USSR, seeing soldiers with AK-47s on a street where you can't make an eye contact, tanks rolling into your, you know, city and trying to take it over again because, you know, USSR didn't like the fact that Lithuania seceded from them in '89. And just seeing all this turmoil, you know, government corruption, living surrounded by mafia, trying to survive, witnessing neighbors being murdered. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And it takes you years to realize, you know, you weren't punished. You were, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional.
Happens on this show.
Oh, come on.
You're fine.
I think you should FedEx us some Kleenex tissue before the show. But, you know, you learn to realize that those events and and how it moves you into this path, it happened the way it should have. And I know that it might sound kind of contradictory, or it kind of goes against everything that I just said, how hard it was, but I wouldn't change anything. I mean, maybe, bless you, maybe people, not being hurt, but I wouldn't change a thing, because it has made me, every single day, every single event, everything has made me into the person that I am today. And honestly, it makes you understand different things. It makes you see different things. It's almost like an eye-opening event, because honestly, if we never failed, if we never had anything happen to us, if we picked up a new skill and we, just succeeded, we never made a mistake at anything, how would we learn anything? Who would we be?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, probably not as deep as we become, not as the, emotional creatures that we become, and figuring out our past and how it can affect us, and how can we better and what we want. And we need that comparison of, wow, that's horrible, that's definitely something I don't want to repeat, or wow, that's great, I want more of it, and you figure out how to get it. And that's just a blessing. And I know that when you're going through it, it's heartbreaking. And, you're asking God or whoever you believe in, why me? What did I do? And it was hard for me because I was a child. And so here I am going from one turmoil into like a different country where I have to learn English. I have to learn how to write in English and read, and, different culture.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have friends. I was made fun of and bullied because I came here in middle school. And I know that middle school hasn't changed at all, because kids are still very mean to my children who are in middle school right now. And so it's just all of these different things. And for me, it was kind of, you're born, you hit the ground running,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like in my life, nothing really ended. It just one thing after another, one thing after another. And it gave me this mindset of, and an outlook, I guess. Hey, life is fine. Life is life. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And
Right.
so, when something happens, you just got to look at it. It's not happening to you. Somebody didn't send this to you. Somebody didn't wish this upon you. It's just life. It just happens. And it's
happens
okay.
for you.
Yes.
It happens
And
for you.
unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It does. It happens for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when you see it in that way, that, you're not the victim of life, you're actually a victor of life, it just
Mm-hmm.
gives you a new perspective, and it gives you the power and strength to keep moving forward, because there's nothing else to do. And when people say, oh, I just want to give up, I want to crawl under the covers and just hide from the world, sure, you can do that. But you're not pausing your life. You're actually taking it at least 10 steps backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have to start over again. Whereas you could have just been like, okay, deep breath, maybe take a couple minutes, hours, however long it takes for you to, start moving forward, and just go forward. There's no other direction. Honestly, there's not really like a side gig or, side street or an alley.
Mm-hmm.
It's just head on.
So where do you had a little emotion when you had started talking about what happened when you had to move when you were 12. So
Mm-hmm.
for any child even in the United States, if they had to move to a different state in the United States and have to go to a different school, that would be very difficult for them
Right.
because you're at that really vulnerable age.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say? It's just a really
very impressionable, vulnerable age.
Yeah.
And you know how, you get to keep in touch with your friends. So if you move to a different state, you get to go back and visit.
Mhm.
Mine is thousands of miles away. I mean, it's not, even the same continent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came to the United States only with the clothes on my back. I didn't bring a luggage or anything. And I brought a couple of books and a teddy bear. So I got to leave everything, my dog, friends, family members, everything. It's just, I'm like, okay, I'm here. And this is all I have.
Mm-hmm.
This is just it.
Yeah.
So,
And then you had to start over without knowing even how to speak English.
Yeah.
In a world that
tough.
spoke English, like
Yeah.
in your world at that
Mm-hmm.
time, with everyone you had contact with didn't speak the language you spoke. So
Right.
not only did you not have a communication barrier, but you were alone.
Right. And I was different. I looked different. I dressed different. I didn't speak English. I didn't like the way that I was being treated because I didn't speak English.
Yeah.
It's not just by middle school kids, but people at the store, people around you, they would look at you weird. And I didn't like that. So I was like, okay, I don't like this. Okay, so do I want to do this as long as I can, for the rest of my life? No. So what can I do? What can I do to change this? So I got a dictionary that I carried with me every single day to school, and flip through to find words, and watch movies with subtitles just so I could learn, the pronunciation, because it's very different, and read children's books. At age 12, I had to start over from, this is a picture and it probably has like 3 words under it. So, sometimes when you have to start over, you have to literally start over, and that's okay, because starting over shows you that you have that grit, you have that drive to survive and to strive. And honestly, so many people can't. And if you can't do that, you're winning.
So how did you take that, loss, right? How did you, because you were 12 years old. So what happened when you got into your 20s? Did you go to college? Did you get married? You had owned some businesses. You built some businesses. Tell us about that.
So I think I was mad. I think a good feeling that I had that I can talk about was mad. I had to start over. So I channeled it into fine, I'm going to do this, but then I'm going to kind of be on the roll. It kind of put me on a roll. So I graduated high school I turned 16 a month before I graduated high school. And because I just didn't want to be there, I was like, fine, life is like this, so bring it on. I want to do more. And then I was pre-med and I wanted to be an ER surgeon. So I spent, my college lab at CU Boulder. And then I worked in a lab, research lab, because, that's just the next step. And I got my EMT license because I wanted to help people. I wanted to fix them. That's why I wanted to be an ER doctor. And so it's actually really funny now, because one day I just kind of woke up and I was like, this is not for me. This is absolutely not for me. I spent the last, 6 years going towards this goal, and I can feel it that I won't love it. Yeah. It won't bring me fulfillment. And now, being a life coach and a keynote speaker and a business consultant, I thank myself, because after realizing that I didn't want to go to medical school, or it wasn't for me, now I have the fulfillment, because my purpose in life wasn't to fix or heal people physically, not just their bodies. It's much more. It's your mind. And so when I finally decided not to go to medical school, I once again started over. You can see probably the trend in my life, starting over and over again. And I did business and sales and then entrepreneurship. And I've built a couple businesses that were very successful. And I've just learned. And honestly, I learned how to fail. And once again, after every single business, it's like starting over, because it's something different. And it's just, you're never done. You're never done learning. You're never done starting over. Because I know that when I'm 85 years old, I'm going to start over on something else. I know that. And I know that it's okay.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to go to break. And Diana, I want to thank you for sharing your heart with us. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how her starting over has brought her the success she has today, and how you too can get connected with Diana to work with her if you're in a place where you're starting over. So hold on for 2 minutes for us on Facebook as well, while we go to a quick break. We'll be right back.
All right, great job. We're all clear back in about 2.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, so we have 2 minutes. So say hi to Facebook that's out there watching.
Hello.
And at any time you want, Diana, you can put your information out there at the end of the show, or whatever. We'll share it with all of our listeners, and then you'll have the opportunity to put it out there. But wow, that's a really, really, really powerful story.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
the one day that I don't have a Kleenex box next to me.
That's the way it's meant to be today, I guess. And I can tell you, I'm not surprised at how many people get vulnerable on the show when they're telling their stories, and it's completely okay. And I love it that Sejal, that you moved your camera. We can see more of the kiddos now over there.
I didn't
can see 'em
realize
in
that.
the
They're
back.
not all mine.
Oh,
Just
they're
so
not.
everybody knows, they're not all mine. No, I have two.
You have
They're
two
not all
boys,
mine.
right?
I have two boys, the two up on top on the end, that one and that one.
So who are the
Are
other
mine.
kids then?
My nieces and my nephews.
Oh, fun.
They're so cute.
Oh, thank you. They're cute in pictures.
Yes. No, they're adorable. I mean, I have 10 grandkids and I'm constantly running around with them
Oh my
and
gosh.
loving on them.
God.
So yeah. It's like all the kids I never wanted to have because I didn't want to have, a huge family.
I was gonna say, but you can give them back.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually so perfect.
I'm stuck with some of these. Even my nieces and all, I'm sort of stuck sometimes. I think my sister's watching, but that's okay. Just saying. They're great. They're amazing. They're all amazing.
No, we
Everyone's
all
great.
have our limits. We're not, we're not unhuman. And so, especially, I would say, especially if there's a point in time where our cups aren't being filled, right? And we're the ones that are having to take care of others so much and give so much of us outwardly, and we're not filling our cups back in. That's when we feel like we're just, at the end of our
Hitting the limit.
yeah.
Right.
And our threads are very, very
Yeah.
thin.
And it's really hard to realize how important that is to have time for yourself, to do things for
10
yourself.
seconds.
Okay. You can keep talking, Diana. Go
Because
ahead.
then you feel like, almost mad at people like, I don't have time for myself. I don't get to do what I want. Nothing's great. I just give myself away. And well, yeah, you got nothing left.
And you don't have to
You
give
are
yourself
listening to
away.
Lead Up for
Yeah.
Women.
It's like
Speak up
on a
to lead
plane.
up.
If you
To reach the show
put your
today,
mask on
please
first and try and help everyone else, you're going to pass out before row 2, right?
9141.
Yeah.
If you don't put your mask on and you try and help everyone else, if you put yours on,
You may also send
you
an
can do the
email
whole
to
plane.
info.
Well, the whole plane's out at that point.
Now, back to this week's show.
Hey there, listeners. Welcome back. You are listening to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. And we have been speaking with Diana V, and she shared a very heartfelt story with us about how she was forced at the age of 12 to just take the clothes on her back and move to America, not knowing English, not leaving all of her friends, her dog, her family, all of that, and how she had a lot of insecurities in middle school and had to really reinvent herself. And then even going to college, she talked about how she thought she knew exactly what she wanted to do in her career and had to course correct again. And I use the word course correct because I think there's a reason why a lot of us are afraid to really be seen and put ourselves out there, because when you do, you become visible. Once you become visible, people are watching. Once people are watching, they're judging. Whether we like it or not, they're judging. So if you quote unquote fail, it's seen as failure. I look at it as a lesson and course correcting, right? So we learn, because if we never would have gone down that road to fail or to course correct, then we never would have learned that that wasn't what I needed to do, right? So, and then then you can course correct for an even better outcome in the future. So that's why I call it course correcting. I don't look at it as failure, because you really didn't fail. You succeeded in every sense of the way. People just like to use that word failure. It's like the word stress is actually, our bodies are created to be able to withstand stress, and it's there for our bodies in a positive way, but society and culture create stress as a negative thing. But stress on your bodies and the way our bodies react to it, it's a positive thing. So our bodies can maneuver through all the different things that we need to with high blood pressure, low blood pressure, high heart rates, low heart rates, those types of things. So Diana, you were telling our listeners that you are now a coach, that you are a keynote speaker. Tell us a little bit about the type of person you coach and why. What do you coach on?
So I coach pretty much anyone that's hit a wall in any kind of area. So it might start as personal or work, and it might jump over to relationship. So it's a wholesome 360 coaching, because your issue that, well, not your specifically, but whoever comes to me with an issue, it's usually not the issue, it's a symptom of something. And it kind of spills over throughout their whole life, every single area of their life. So we talk about it, we figure it out, and then whatever that block is, we just bust through it, and then you find something else, and but you bust through that. But it gives you kind of that course correcting, guidance that you need, because otherwise, if you don't know what the real cause is, you're always going to get stuck.
Yeah. And don't you find, what was that?
And stay stuck.
And stay stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know what to do. And I think it takes so much courage to reach out to someone and understand that it's okay to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to have someone lead or guide you in the areas, just to give you a different perspective, because almost every time, the answers are already within you. You already know the answer. You're just what's called in your frame.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in this frame, you can't see from an outside view. Like, Sejal, I'm pretty sure, and we're going to be introducing you in a minute, but I'm pretty sure when you are outside of the business, watching it being ran from the outside, you saw it from a completely different perspective than now being in the business running it, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we all just need to understand it's not our limitations. It's not that we're not smart. It's that we are so encompassed in the frame of what we're doing that we tend to not be able to see the bigger picture sometimes. And that's okay. And that's why you have outside consultants come into businesses and help. That's why we have coaches. That's why we have mentors. That's why we have people, because they also hold us accountable. That's why we have personal trainers. That's why I'm a personal trainer, because I want somebody to make sure that if they do want to get healthy and they want to get out there and get their prime weight, or most of the time it's just about self-confidence. They come to me wanting to lose weight, has nothing to do with the weight.
Exactly. Yes.
So once you start working with them, you figure out you're really working on their mind more than their body, but you're having a good time working out with them at the same time. So,
and you solve problems.
Yeah. It's
more
great.
than one.
It's like, absolutely. So, Diana, if somebody wanted to bring you in as a keynote, do you have a couple keynote speeches that you do?
I do. And all of that information is on my website.
Okay.
It's www.dianavlife.com.
Okay.
So dianavlife.com.
LIFE, right?
Yes.
.com. Perfect.
Correct.
And then someone could book you as a keynote speaker. And what do you speak on when you do keynote speaking?
A lot of inspiration, a lot of what to do when you're stuck, a lot of communication. And my main motto, I guess, in life and in keynote speaking and in coaching is, if you don't have personal mastery, you cannot have business mastery. You cannot have any other mastery. It all stems from personal mastery.
That's perfect. And I'd like everybody on the phone to work on the personal mastery of self-care. I don't care if you start with 10 minutes a day. That'll be a good challenge we'll throw out there today. But 10 minutes a day just to sit still or breathe. Or what is your favorite hobby? Do you love to work out? Do you love to run? Do you love to walk? Do you love to knit? Do you love to sew? Do you love to paint? What is it? Do you love to listen to music? Take 10 minutes and do something that you love, because especially as females, we take on so many identities that we forget who we are by the time, and Sejal, this hasn't happened to you, Diana, this hasn't happened to you yet, but by the time your kids are grown and they're gone, you're like, I don't even know where I like to eat, where I like to shop, what my favorite color is anymore, because everything was about the kids.
Yes.
I ate what they ate.
Yeah.
I took them shopping where they wanted to shop. I did everything they wanted to do. And now I'm this female shell kind of, and I don't want that to happen to women. I want women to still have their identities as a mother and to still have their identities as a female. Like, you're still Diana, and Diana's cup needs to be filled. And the more you fill your cup, the better wife you're going to be, the better mother you're going to be.
So you're starting over. You're course correcting.
Yeah, I had to. I was forced to, and the course correcting is really what brought me to where I am today. Because I don't want women to feel like an empty shell or loss. You have to treat yourself well.
And it's hard. That's hard for most women. That's really hard for them to keep their identity.
It really is.
Yeah.
Not a mother, not a wife, not an employee, but just who they are and what they love about themselves.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
And so there's steps to do it. And I know Diana V can help them with that. So Diana, they can go to your website. They can work with you. Do you have an email address, or is it easier just for them to go to your website?
Well, it's easy. It's diana@dianavlife.com.
Okay, perfect.
I made everything easy.
Okay,
and just a little side note on the 10 minutes, because they know if somebody tries to meditate as a female woman, you have so many things running through your brain. Just make sure you bring a pen and paper. So when something pops into your mind, like dinner, you just write it down and then you go back to what you were doing. Because otherwise you're going to be like, no, I have to.
Yeah.
And you're going to stop the 10-minute.
Absolutely.
Finding.
And I like to say anything that's happened before this 10 minutes, I'm just going to wrap it up and set it aside. Anything I have to do after this 10 minutes, I'm just going to wrap it up and set it aside. And I'm really just going to try and be present and focus on me, just in the moment.
Yeah.
And whether it's writing in a journal, I find that when I write 10 gratitudes down during that time, I have sacred time that I do for myself. It's in an hour every morning. So I get up an hour every morning and spend time for me to write gratitudes, to read, to journal, to do energy work for chakras, whatever it is that I need to do, that's what works for me. So, but I built it up from never doing anything to starting at 10 minutes and then build it. And I know some people that do 2 hours a day, of work on themselves before starting their day. And you can do it as a mother too. You just get up before the babies get up. So if it's an hour of you time, you will feel so much better by the time those babies wake up. I promise you, I promise you it will work.
It just grounds you.
It does. Diana, thank you so much for being with us today. Stay on the line while we jump over to Sejal and talk with her. So we know you're a mother of 2 gorgeous boys and have a lot of nieces and nephews behind you. They're on the wall, but there's so much more to you and where you came from. And so, you weren't in tech as you are the CEO of TechWorks today. You weren't in tech. So tell our listeners a little bit about how your life started before you met your husband, what your aspirations and dreams were. And then you met your love of your life and got married and had kids, and he was running a different business at the time. So talk to us about that.
Sure. So I grew up, my dad's an entrepreneur. I grew up, we were well off. I didn't really want for anything. And I actually wanted to be a lawyer. Well, scratch that. In college, I went through 4 different majors. I did engineering, biomedical engineering. I did a whole bunch of stuff that I was really bad at. Science was not my forte. And I ended up doing legal studies, which I loved. I wanted to be a lawyer. I could argue anything and win. I promise you, everyone would attest to that. And I graduated from college at University of Buffalo, got my first job as a paralegal, and then said, oh my gosh, I totally don't want to be a lawyer. That's insane. I don't want to go to school forever. And I went from a couple things here and there and ended up at the banks, in the banking world. So I worked at several of the banks. I was on the trading floor for several years. I worked through the different banks all throughout all the different varieties of jobs, et cetera, and throughout the world. So I've lived in a lot of different places in Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore, London, et cetera. So I had a great career. Met my husband while I was at the first bank I was working at. And actually, we always said the reason we stayed married so long is because we spent our first year apart. I spent it in London. He spent it in Bermuda, which was great, I guess. And in 2008, he started a company. So I was still at Deutsche Bank in 2008. I was pregnant with my first child. And he came to me and said, hey, look, I think I want to start a company. So if you think about 2008, that wasn't the best time in economy. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, the stability is not important. I'm pregnant. I guess we could live in a box. We don't really need stability. But I had a job. I supported him in the decision. And I'll be honest with you, we had a backup plan. So in case things didn't go well, we were sort of situated. And he started TechWorks in 2008.
And so it was pretty much, what would you say that it was depression proof? Because obviously we went through a recession pretty bad. Yeah, no, I don't think it was depression proof or recession proof. I think it was just, look,
sometimes you do things, they come to you, and you take the opportunity and you go with it. I had a really steady job. I was at the bank. I was making good money. We had health insurance, and we had a backup plan.
Yeah.
So you're really just taking the, look, you take risks, and like you said, there are course corrections. If it didn't work, you course correct and you move on to something else.
Yeah.
So
With
that's
great
really what it
risk
was.
comes great reward.
Great
And
reward.
that was
Absolutely.
a phenomenal time to start a business for those that
Yeah.
had the means of the money, because getting
Right.
everything that you needed at that moment for you to be able to launch the
It was
business,
instant.
it was so
Yes.
simple and like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good. It went well. He started in 2008. I kept my job at the bank for a while.
Mhm.
I had a second child, and I was climbing that corporate ladder, just climbing. And one day I sat there and I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, where am I going with this? Where's this going to land me? We just built our house. So this is the house. So we built our dream home. We had 2 kids, and we moved into our dream home in September of 2012. And in November, I decided to put my notice in, which, by the way, I didn't share with him. So I quit my job and then called him afterwards.
So why was that? Why did you quit your job and call him
I didn't know I
after?
was going to quit. I had no
Okay.
idea I was going to quit. I had no idea I was going to quit. I walked in and I just spent 42 minutes doing absolutely nothing that morning. I missed time with my babies. I was traveling a lot. I was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I missed my babies waking up that day. I missed them, putting them to bed the night before.
Yeah.
And I just gave my notice and I walked out the door.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard
And
that
was
so
it.
many times from women. They're like, they bring up something. They're like, I quit. What did I just say? I quit.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
And isn't that
They're
amazing?
like, where are you going?
It's when you get that overwhelming sense like, okay,
Done.
I'm not supposed to be here. I need
Yeah,
to quit.
that was exactly it. It was
Yeah.
7:42 in the morning. I remember I got up and I'm like, I quit. What? Where are you going? What offer do you want? No. I quit. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going home. And I called my husband on my way home, and I'm like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm on my way to Secaucus. It's in New Jersey. And he's like, what are you doing there? I'm like, oh, I quit my job. He's like, quit what? Go back. I'm like, it's not happening. I'm on my way home.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to go shopping and have lunch with my girlfriends and hang out and work out and try to shed the 40 pounds I put on
Mhm.
and have fun. Yeah.
And what did he say?
He said, you're crazy. You're going back. And I said no. And then that was it. I never went back. It was like,
I love
This
that.
is done.
Yeah.
We're finished.
Yeah.
And then, and he was already working with tech work. And my husband is brilliant at technology, sucked at sales and operations. So
We're not always good at everything. We're always good at one
and you
thing.
shouldn't be.
One thing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at stuff, like you said, I was outside the frame, I'm outside
Yeah.
the box, and I'm looking at things going, I don't think that's right. And I think we could, and maybe not. And I was like, hey, what if I work with you? And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And that was like, no, you don't need to. And I'm like, oh, but I'd love to. And that was 2012, and that was 2013, and in 2015, I became the CEO.
Really? Wow. He was so
Really.
impressed with your work. That's awesome. So it's great that you, what I love about that story, Sejal, is that you went from doing something that you almost feel like you had to do, I guess, or was tied to, even though you were in banking and trading floors and all that for years. But then one day you just decided, and we have really great intuitions as women, by the way. And when the universe is course correcting you, that's how it works. So you get that intuition bump that says, okay, you're done here. And once we get into the rest of the story, which we're going to head to break, everyone will see when we finish through the rest of the story why the universe gave you the bump when they gave you the bump, because you really needed to step out, and you needed to be able to step into the business and work in the business for the reasons for today, right? So we're going to go to break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes with this Sejal. Stay tuned.
All right, great job. Back in 2.
All right. Thank you. I just want to say, hey, that was so awesome. We have Renee, Nicole, Lauren, Teresa. I'm scrolling through everyone that's listening. Hi, you guys. Welcome to Facebook and for listening. What was your sister's name that you said she might be on there?
Kyle.
Listening? Okay, she's not on there yet. So hopefully she'll pop on here pretty soon. But we've been talking with Sejal, and she has an amazing story. And I love that story that you were just like, I quit. And you know, it's funny because I had this like similar feeling too when I had launched my business, and I had a similar feeling one day. I just said, I need to quit. And literally my husband and my kids and everyone's like, no, you're not. You're crazy. You're not quitting your job. What do you think you're doing? And I was like, no, I think I'm going to quit. And I think it was even that feeling when I went into the corporate office and sat with my CEO, and I'm like, yeah, so I think I'm going to quit. And they're like, when? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
Today?
Yeah. And no, they kept me for like 5 months longer, you know, and which is totally great. And I love it that I had that opportunity to say goodbye to everybody and kind of wrap up loose ends and do what I needed to do. But, you know, by the last month or so, you're just like, you're already gone, right?
Yeah, you're there. Yeah.
And your heart's already moved on, but you've gotten outside of the frame, you know, you've gotten outside of the frame, and now you're like outside looking in going, wow, you know, I just never saw it from this perspective. And I love clear perspectives and new perspectives. And for us to be able to have almost like the veil lifted sometimes, right? Then you look back and you go, why was I doing that job every day? What was I doing?
Right, exactly. What was where was I going with that? What did I want?
Yeah, but you kind of have
it
these.
Didn't make sense.
Yeah, right. But you have these ideas of like, oh, the society dictates that I should have this fulfilling career and blah, blah, blah. So then when you get an instinct, this is not right, but the society says it is, you have this huge conflict. And so it's hard. It's almost like that veil that you were talking about. It's like nailed down and you kind of like really have to pull.
Yeah, it's tethered. Absolutely.
It is. And it's either society or it's just what you think you want, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it has nothing to do with society, but it's like, well, I've got this job and the next position is vice president, and then it's this, and then it's this. And you're just working towards, you know, what you think is the next goal. And you're just working without giving it any thought and saying, well, why do I want to, am I going to become the CEO of Merrill Lynch? Like, what am I doing?
Right. It's autopilot.
Where am I trying to go here?
Thanks, Monk. I hear you. Go ahead. Yeah, that was like the next step for me. It's like, so do I want, you know, is that even possible? No. Okay. Well, then do I just stay here on autopilot for a long time or what? Yeah. And so
to reach the show today,
no, I would way rather, again, it's the universe just correcting us to tell us what it is that we need to be doing to get set for something bigger.
You may also send an email to info@leadup.women.com.
And I think sometimes when you're really not taking that step,
back to this week's
the
show.
universe kind of gives you a kick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're like, oh.
And you need it.
Hey, listeners, we are back. And thank you so much for being patient with us. We were just on a quick 2-minute break, and we've been sitting here talking to all of our friends on Facebook and having an amazing conversation. So if you haven't yet, pop on over to Lead Up for Women on our Facebook page and like us, and then you'll be able to see these live. And then you can see Diana V sitting here and Sejal sitting here. And I want to welcome Anissa and Jamie and Teresa and Megan and all the other women that have joined us on Facebook. Hello, and thank you so much for being here today.
Hi.
And Sejal, you were talking about how you left your job and you were just going to hang out with your girlfriends and go to lunch and work out and spend time with your babies. And you were super happy. Then you looked at your husband's company and you're like, you're super good and you're smart at tech, but when it comes to operations, I think I could help you out a little bit. And then soon after you merged yourself into and became part of the business, you became the CEO of the business. Yeah. And how long did that take? Like, what was the year span of you learning in there?
Well, it was really just going in and understanding the business and looking at the sales and the operations. And I started immersing myself. And one of the things that I learned quickly is surround yourself with people smarter than you. You want to be the dumbest person in the room.
Always.
And so I really got out there and I started networking. And I mean, there were days I was doing 5 to 6 networking events a day. And for people that do that, they know that's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I just started meeting people. and I meet other people, and I got to the level where I meet the people that I now call my family in terms of they help me with everything from how to fix a flat to, what am I going to do? I'm losing that $1 million client. So that's what I did. So it took a couple years and I just got a hang of it. And my husband decided to take over the tech role, and he managed all the technology side and I managed the rest of the business.
That's great. And so you both did that for how long?
We both did that up until, so he did technology and he did the finances and I did everything else. And we did that up until this year.
Okay.
Up until February this year.
Yep.
So,
and then go ahead and share with our listeners if you feel comfortable what happened this year.
Yeah. So on February 28th, 2019, this year, my husband passed away unexpectedly of a heart attack. He was 39 years old. And he walked out the door and just didn't walk back in. And if that wasn't bad enough, my younger one saw him sort of collapse. And I was actually in Florida and all of our parents were in India on vacation. And it was just, sorry, Megs, but it was just a shit show for lack of a better word. So I need a second.
Take as long as you need.
So, he was actually in the hospital for about 4 days. And I don't think in my wildest dreams, we had a clue that he was he's 39. We didn't think he was going to pass away. I don't think that was ever something that, even while he was in the hospital, even while he was on the ventilator, even while he was in surgery, through all of that, I don't think anybody ever thought that was going to happen. Yeah. And so on February 28th, my life sort of flipped upside down. And you guys talk about rebuilding and restarting. And I started from ground up. I had a family that was torn apart. I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, 2 boys. And, his mother who'd lost, we lost my father-in-law 10 years ago to a heart attack. His brother who worked for the company at the time. It was just a lot. It was a lot. So, and then I had a business partner that I lost. So I lost a husband, I lost a father, lost the man who ran the house. And then I lost a business partner, and, I actually have zero technical skill set. And I was now sitting here with being the sole income provider, sole provider for the house, running a company that, I got to be honest, I was scared to hell to do because I don't know tech. And we're an IT company. You kind of need to know technology to run, or not to run the company, but to do the work. And he was the main guy. So we went through some changes.
First of all, Sejal, thank you for being just vulnerable to share that story. I know that must have just talk about a smack in the face and everything just immediately happening and you having to course correct very quickly. And what a blessing of gratitude it is that you had that feeling that you had back in 2012, I believe it was, when you said, when you were like, I quit. And then you saw where you could help your husband build the company, because could you imagine if you were sitting at the bank?
No. I mean, you know what? I got to be honest. I think everything, not this piece of it. And I know you say everything happens for a reason. And I was talking to a friend a couple of days ago and she said the same thing. She goes, it was in the boys' karma to lose their father. And it was, it was there, it happened. And I think, I'm not sure I can totally jive with that yet, but I will tell you, it's really hard. It's really hard. If you lose a business partner, your home life will give you that time to go and figure out your job. If you lose a husband, your business will say, go take 6 months, go figure it out. We got this. In my case, nobody had this. I had this. I had to do that and do that, and the work and the home and the kids and me. And you talk about me time and you talk about identity. And I'll tell you that the one thing I've always been very good at is keeping that identity. I've always taken me time. People ask me all the time, how do you balance things? I don't balance anything. Balance does not exist in my life. There are days that my kids are priority and all I do is for my kids and with my kids. And there are days that my kids don't see me, and it is what it is because I have a job and a company and people who rely on me to provide them their living.
Yeah.
And there are days that I don't do either of those, like yesterday, and I got a 2-hour massage in the middle of the day and took the rest of the day for myself and then went out to dinner. So there are me days too.
Yeah. That's so good that you already recognize how much you need to nourish yourself, because in order for you to be able to give 1,000% to the company, 1,000% to the employees, 1,000% to your children, you have to nourish yourself, because if you won't, you're just not going to have anything left.
You can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't do it. You just can't, you can't do it. And I, like you're talking about working out, I work out every day. I make it a point every day. It's something that I do for me. Just for me.
That's so good. That's so good. Can I ask you, when your husband passed away, do you have any advice for any of our listeners or anybody on Facebook of maybe something that I mean, at 39, there is not a person that I know that is thinking in the back of their mind, I need to have my house in order. Right?
Yeah.
My house in order, either my business finances in order, my wills and my estates and my life insurance and everything set up. Did you have all of that in order? Was it ready and prepared? And so it made it seamless for you to, because when you're dealing with the grief of your husband and then you're dealing with the grief of the father of your children, because that's two different things. And then you're dealing with the grief of the company on top of that, which you're blessed to have this wildly successful company. But on the flip side of that, it also needs your attention.
So I will tell you this, regardless of what you have settled up or what you have ready, it's not seamless. I still have cars not in my name, accounts I had to close, vendors I had to fire because they wouldn't transfer. And I am the wife and the business owner and the CEO, right? I'm also fairly smart, worked in finance. So I don't think anything is seamless. What I will tell you this is I reach out to my network. My current CIO, he runs the technology side of my company. Yeah. He's amazing. He was not chosen by me. I barely interviewed him. One of the guys in my network did. Everything I do, I've come to realize that I can rely on a couple people and they have helped me, because I don't care what you have in order. It'll never be enough to be ready for something like this. So it's really a matter of, it takes a village. And I don't mean just to raise my kids, but it takes a village to keep me standing every day. Yeah. So there are people that help me with personal stuff. There are people that help me with business stuff. There are people that help me on all accounts. I have, my boys see a therapist every week because I think that's really important. We talk about things. You talked about gratitude. I do gratitude with my boys every morning. Every morning, still to this day, we talk about what are we happy for? No, not my Xbox or my hoverboard, but I'm happy that so-and-so friend gave me lunch or gave me an apple today. So I'll tell you that piece of it. And the second thing I will tell you is somebody gave me this advice several months ago, and it's my mantra. Every single decision you make is the right decision. You guys talked about course correction and everything. You can always change it tomorrow. If today the right decision is to do this and tomorrow it's not, it's okay. Because if you start looking back at everything and looking at regret or going crazy, it's going to become really difficult to move forward at all. Yeah. So sitting here as a single mother now and a single business owner, I'm running a house that we built that I have no intention of leaving. You get to that point where you're like, you know what? Yeah. I just got to make decisions, and it's okay. And I bounce them off of people, but in the end, I make those decisions.
Yes, that is a great message, Sejal. Thank you for sending that message to everyone. Trust your intuition. It is the universe. It's the spirit. I don't care what you call it. It's speaking to you and telling you, I'm here for you, and this is the right decision you need to make. And you're right. You can ask other people what their opinions are. And when you know it doesn't feel right, we always say hindsight's 20/20, right? Because you look back and go, I should have done this.
Don't
listen to it. Yeah. If you trust yourself and you listen to what's in your heart and what's in your soul and your intuition, you won't ever make a bad decision. It's just the right decision to make. And it might not be what everyone else thinks the decision you should make, but it's still the right decision for you at that time.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
Exactly.
a powerful message. Thank you for sending that to our listeners.
Of course.
And Sejal, we are all, the other message you just sent is you cannot, everyone please listen to what she said, cannot do life alone. You cannot, you have to have friends. You have to have a community. You have to have people that you can tap into. We were not meant to do life alone. We should never do life alone. And you never know when you're going to need to reach out to someone. So nurture the people that you have in your life and keep them close, because you just never know when you're going to need the help. And you're only, I think of one arrow and how strong one arrow is, and you can just, or a stick, you can break it, but you put like a bundle of sticks together, you can't break it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So find your tribe, whatever that tribe is. Lead Up for Women's your tribe. Great. Come find us. If there's another tribe out there that's yours, go find your tribe. Go find the women that support you, the people that need you, the people that give you the advice that you need, that give you guidance that remind you how freaking awesome you are.
Awesome you are.
Right.
Exactly.
Hang out with the people that believe in you, that trust you, that fuel your fire so your rocket can take off, right? So Sejal, thank you so much for joining us today. If somebody wanted to find out more about TechWorks and how they could work with you, how would they?
My website is TechWorks, it's TechWerxe.com. And what we are offering for anybody listening is we can do network assessments. We'd love to come and check out, make sure that everything's running okay with your network, with your IT. So we'll do a free network assessment for any of your listeners if they reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
And they can reach me at,
go ahead.
Should I just, my email address, just really quick?
Yep.
Just to might make it easier. It's SLAKHANI@techworks.com.
Perfect. That's easy to remember.
Cool.
Thank you, ladies, for being on the show today. We are
Thank
just
you.
about out of time. So I just want to remind all of our listeners, we've got Megan Redzia with 3EPR next week. And we also have Danielle Trufin, and she's got an amazing story as well, and is a life coach, and you guys are just going to eat her up and love her. So remember, my last message is, you are the only you that's ever been. You are the only you that will ever be. So how you choose to live your life now matters. So be you and be strong, and come back next week on Wednesday, and we'll have 2 more guests. So thank you, ladies. And thank you so much for the show today. Everyone have a blessed week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Wonderful job, ladies. Good show. All clear.
All right, great. So I'm going to end our meeting here. And then we will pop off of Facebook. So say goodbye to everybody on Facebook, and we'll be ending. So see you later. And I love you, ladies. Bye. Thank you so much. Today was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories with me.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Facebook.